Sensory overload at work isn't a mindset problem, it's a bandwidth problem. And the reason you can't just ignore it is the same reason you can't ignore a fire alarm long enough to finish an email. Your nervous system is built to prioritize signal over politeness. Here's the open loop most people miss. The goal isn't to become tougher. The goal is to stop forcing your brain to run high-focus tasks in a high-threat environment. In a few minutes, I'll give you a simple way to tell whether your overload is coming from noise, unpredictability, social vigilance, or sheer cognitive switching, because the fix depends on which one is driving the spike. First, a quick pattern call-out. The same person who can read deeply for 2 hours at home can feel scattered and irritable after 20 minutes in a bright office. The same person who is calm in a quiet one-on-one meeting can feel their chest tighten in an open-plan room with overlapping conversations. That doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your system is doing its job. Let me make this concrete with a short vignette. A 29-year-old female project coordinator walks into work already slightly tense. She's competent, liked, and reliable. The moment she sits down, her ears catch the click of keyboards, someone chewing ice, a phone buzzing every few minutes, and a colleague's loud laughter 2 desks away. On her screen, Slack pings stack up. 2 people stop by with quick questions. She smiles, answers, and tries to return to her task. But her thoughts feel like they're slipping through her hands. By lunch, she's exhausted, even though she hasn't done anything hard. On the way home, she wonders, why can't I be normal? Everyone else can handle this. That last sentence is the trap. Everyone else isn't handling it the same way. Some people naturally filter sensory input more aggressively. Some people have lower sensitivity to certain stimuli. Some are in roles with longer, uninterrupted blocks. Some have developed better environmental strategies without realizing it. And many are quietly depleted too. They just express it differently. When people tell you to ignore it, they're assuming sensory input is like background wallpaper. But in psychology, sensory processing is not passive. Your brain is constantly scanning for relevance and risk. Sounds, lights, movement, and social cues are all data streams. The more streams you have to monitor, the more your attention gets taxed. This is especially true when the environment is unpredictable, random pings, sudden interruptions, people appearing behind you, because unpredictability is a classic trigger for heightened arousal. Think of your attention as a bouncer at a club. In a calm environment, the bouncer calmly checks IDs and lets the right thoughts through. In a chaotic environment, the bouncer is suddenly trying to manage 5 entrances at once. It doesn't matter how disciplined the bouncer is. If the crowd keeps surging, the system gets overwhelmed. And if you resonate with the HSP framing, high sensitivity, high responsiveness, then your system may register more details and react more strongly to subtle shifts. Research on sensory processing sensitivity suggests some people process stimuli more deeply and show stronger reactivity, especially under high stimulation. That depth can be an advantage, noticing nuance, catching errors early, reading the room, producing high-quality work. But it comes with a cost when the environment is loud, bright, socially dense, or constantly interrupting. Here's the counterintuitive point most people never hear. Overload isn't only about too much sensory input. It's often about too little control over sensory input. A moderate level of stimulation can be fine when you choose it. Music you like, a lively cafe, a collaborative meeting you're prepared for. The same level becomes draining when it's imposed on you, and you can't predict it. Control is a safety cue. Lack of control is a threat cue. That's why just ignore it backfires. Ignoring requires sustained top-down control. Your prefrontal cortex essentially holding the door shut while the world keeps knocking. But under stress, that control gets more expensive. Your brain shifts resources towards scanning and responding. Your working memory shrinks. Your patience gets shorter. Your emotional tone changes, not because you're dramatic, but because your body is trying to reduce load. Now, a mini self-test. Don't overthink it. Just notice what your system does when you read each line. When you're overloaded at work, what hits first? Do you feel mentally foggy, like you can't hold a thought? Do you feel physically keyed up, like your skin is too tight and sounds feel sharp? Do you feel socially tense, like you're performing and monitoring everyone's mood? Or do you feel pulled apart, like you're doing 5 tasks but finishing none? Keep your answer. That's your primary overload channel, and it determines what to change first. Let's unpack the mechanism in a way that actually helps you. There are 4 common drivers of sensory overload at work, especially for sensitive systems. The first is raw sensory density: noise, fluorescent or harsh lighting, visual clutter, constant movement in your peripheral vision. This is the easiest to understand and the easiest to reduce with environment tweaks, if you treat it like an ergonomics issue, not a personality flaw. The second is interruption frequency. Even if the office isn't loud, the constant switching between messages, tasks, and micro requests creates cognitive fragmentation. Your brain pays a switching tax every time it changes context. If you're sensitive, you may pay that tax more heavily because you're actually engaging deeply with each new input. The third is social vigilance. This is the hidden one. If you're attuned to facial expressions, tone shifts, and group dynamics, your nervous system may run a background process all day. How are they feeling? Did I say the wrong thing? Is the room tense? Am I falling behind? That's work. It's emotional labor and threat monitoring. It drains you, even if you sit still. The fourth is meaning pressure, when every task feels high stakes, ambiguous, or evaluated. Ambiguity forces your brain to keep simulating outcomes. Evaluation triggers self-monitoring. High sensitivity often amplifies this because you care, you notice nuance, and you want to do it right. So if the problem is real mechanisms, the solution is not try harder. The solution is a career-grade system. You reduce sensory load, reduce switching, increase predictability, and build recovery into the day so your baseline stays stable. Let's make that practical in 3 levels: minimum viable, standard, and upgrade. Each level works even if you can't change your job right now. Minimum viable version: 2 to 5 minutes. This is what you do on a normal day when you're already in it. First, name the channel, quietly, in your head. This is sensory density, or this is switching, or this is social vigilance, or this is meaning pressure. Labeling doesn't magically fix things, but it reduces the confusion spiral. Confusion is a threat multiplier. Second, give your system one immediate safety cue, not an inspirational quote, a cue, something your body interprets as, "I'm not trapped." If it's sensory density, reduce one input now, lower screen brightness slightly, close one extra tab, put in noise reduction, earplugs, noise canceling, or even a single earbud with steady low volume sound. If you can't do that, move your body 2 inches. Turn your chair away from movement, face a wall for 10 minutes, or reposition so your peripheral vision isn't constantly catching motion. Peripheral motion is an underrated trigger. If it's switching, do a 2-minute single thread. Pick one tiny deliverable that can be finished in one sprint. Send one clear email, outline one paragraph, finalize one small decision. Tell yourself, one thread only. Switching feels urgent, but completion creates stability. If it's social vigilance, reduce performance. Drop your face, unclench your jaw, let your shoulders widen. People who are sensitive often unknowingly hold a work mask physically. Softening it is not rude, it's regulation. If possible, take a short bathroom break and let your eyes rest on a fixed point for 20 seconds. Eyes darting is a vigilance signal. Still, eyes is a safety signal. If it's meaning pressure, ask one clarifying question, either to yourself or to someone else. What does success look like for this task? Or, what's the next concrete step? Ambiguity is fuel for overload. Clarity is a brake. That's minimum viable. It won't make your office quiet or your job simple, but it stops the system from spiraling. Now the standard version. This is what you build across days. It's the HSP career guide layer, the part that makes work sustainable without turning you into a different person. Start with environment fit, not your entire job, your immediate workstation. Your goal is not perfect comfort, it's fewer spikes. If lighting drains you, treat light like nutrition. Harsh overhead lighting all day is like eating sugar every hour. If you can, add a warm desk lamp and reduce overhead exposure. If you can't change the lights, consider tinted glasses that reduce glare or take visual fasting breaks. Look at a distant, neutral surface for a minute every hour. Your eyes are part of your nervous system. They're not separate. If sound drains you, don't wait until you're irritated. Put protection on before the peak. Once your arousal climbs, everything sounds louder. Preloading calm is smarter than recovering later, and you don't need to be dramatic about it. Many professionals wear noise reduction as a focus tool. It's normal now. If interruptions drain you, you need a boundary system that feels professional, not defensive. Sensitive people often avoid boundaries because they don't want to disappoint anyone. But without boundaries, you'll disappoint yourself every day. And eventually, you'll disappoint others anyway because you'll burn out. Try language that's calm and specific. I'm in a focus block until 11. Can we do this at 11:15? Or, if it's urgent, message me urgent. Otherwise, I'll respond at the top of the hour. You're not refusing, you're creating predictability. Predictability is kindness to both your brain and your colleagues. Now, structure your day around your nervous system's curve, not your to-do list fantasy. Many people try to do deep work in the noisiest hours, and then wonder why they feel broken. If you can, schedule your most cognitively demanding task for your calmest window, often the first hour of the day or the first hour after lunch, depending on your rhythm. Protect it with a simple ritual that signals, now we narrow. Same playlist, same drink, same tab arrangement, same posture. Rituals reduce decision load and tell your brain what mode it's in. Then batch your communication. Not all day, just 2 or 3 windows. For example, quick scan at 10, reply at 1, final check at 4. When communication is always open, your attention is always partially elsewhere. That partial attention feels like anxiety because the brain hates incomplete loops. Now, recovery. This is where most self-growth content gets vague. Take breaks. But breaks only work if they actually change your nervous system state. A real recovery break has 2 features. It reduces sensory input and it reduces cognitive demand. Scrolling your phone rarely does either. It often adds more input and more comparison stress. A better break is sensory downshift. Step outside or go to a quiet corner or sit in your car for 5 minutes. Let your eyes soften. Let your breath lengthen. Not forced, just slower than your stress pace. If your mind wants to solve problems, give it a container. One note in your phone titled, Later. Write the thought. Close it. That simple act tells your brain, we're not losing this. Loss fear fuels rumination. Here's a second pattern interruption, because you might be thinking, this sounds nice, but my workplace doesn't allow any of this. I can't dim lights. I can't wear headphones. People will judge me. Let's flip the frame. The question isn't, will they judge me? The question is, what is the cost of not making my needs visible in a professional way? If you keep absorbing overload silently, the bill still comes due. Fatigue, mistakes, irritability, avoidance, Sunday dread. And when it shows up, it won't be neatly labeled as sensory overload. It will look like you're less engaged, less responsive, less creative. That's what hurts careers. Professional boundaries are not a declaration of weakness. They are a performance strategy. High performers protect their attention. They protect their energy. They build systems because they know willpower is not infinite. Now, the upgrade version, for high performers, ambitious, sensitive people, or anyone who wants to stop merely coping and start using sensitivity as an advantage. The upgrade starts with role design. You don't need a new job immediately, but you do need to understand which parts of your role are compatible with your nervous system and which parts are chronic triggers. Make a mental map of your week. Which tasks leave you energized, even if tired? Which tasks leave you depleted and edgy? Often, sensitive systems thrive in depth work, mentoring, creative problem solving, quality control, writing, design, research, and one-on-one collaboration. They tend to struggle with constant reactive work, high noise environments, rapid context switching, and prolonged exposure to social friction. The upgrade strategy is to shift your workload ratio over time, not overnight, over time. If 70% of your week is reactive, you gradually negotiate toward 50%. If you're constantly in meetings, you advocate for fewer but higher quality ones, or for agendas, or for asynchronous updates. Agendas are sensory protection. They reduce ambiguity and social vigilance. Next, build a buffer identity. This is subtle but powerful. Sensitive people often fuse with the environment, emotionally and cognitively. A buffer identity is the part of you that stays stable, regardless of the room. It sounds like, I'm someone who works in focused sprints. I'm someone who communicates in batches. I'm someone who delivers quality through depth. That identity isn't a slogan. It's a constraint that guides behavior. When a random request hits, you don't decide from scratch. You ask, does this fit my way of working? If yes, engage. If no, redirect. Now, train your nervous system to recover faster. This is not about forcing yourself into more stimulation. It's about increasing your recovery capacity so the same environment costs less. One of the best ways is micro-recovery between inputs. 30 seconds, a minute. You don't wait for a lunch break that never comes. You insert tiny resets after meetings, after calls, after intense emails. A micro reset can be as simple as standing up, exhaling longer than you inhale for 3 breaths, and letting your gaze go wide. Wide gaze reduces threat focus. Or you can do a quick muscle release. Unclench hands, jaw, shoulders. Your body often holds the stress of being on. You can also use transition cues. Before switching tasks, close the previous tab, write the next step in one sentence, and then begin the new task. That sentence is a bridge. Without it, your brain carries both tasks at once, which feels like overload. Now, upgrade your communication style in a way that protects you and makes you more respected. Sensitive people sometimes over-explain because they want to prevent misunderstanding. Ironically, over-explaining can increase social vigilance because now you're tracking how your message lands. The upgrade is clear, brief, and warm. Try this rhythm: context, ask, boundary, appreciation. I can do that. I'm currently finishing X, so I can start at 2. If it's urgent, tell me what deadline you need. Thanks. This is not cold, it's stable. Stability is soothing to other people too. And finally, career leverage. If you're an HSP type worker, your edge is often accuracy, nuance, empathy, taste, and early detection of problems. Don't hide those strengths while you silently suffer the environment. You can position yourself as someone who brings depth and quality, someone who notices risks early, improves systems, and elevates standards. When your value is visible, your needs become easier to negotiate. Not because you're special, but because workplaces accommodate what they recognize as productive. Now let's close the open loop from the beginning. The key insight is that ignoring overload requires executive control, and executive control collapses under chronic stimulation. If your environment constantly triggers arousal through noise, unpredictability, social monitoring, or task switching, then trying to power through is like running a laptop on maximum brightness with 20 apps open and then blaming the laptop for overheating. The fix is not more self-criticism. The fix is system design. So here's what I want you to take with you today. If you feel overloaded at work, you're not weak and you're not broken. Your nervous system is responding to input, unpredictability, and pressure in a way that makes sense. Your job is to reduce spikes, increase control, and build recovery so your baseline stays steady. Start minimum viable. Name the channel and reduce one input for 2 minutes. Build the standard version. Protect a focus block, batch communication, use professional boundaries, and take real sensory downshifts. Then upgrade, redesign your role over time, build a buffer identity, use micro recovery between tasks, and communicate with clear, warm constraints. If anxiety or overwhelm feels unmanageable, consider professional support. And here's a simple comment prompt that also helps you get unstuck. Comment one word that describes your main overload channel: noise, switching, people, or pressure. I read those, and it helps me make future guides more specific to what you're dealing with. The old advice was built for a world where you picked one lane, stayed in it, and slowly became the person who does that. But the future doesn't reward single lane certainty the way it used to. It rewards people who can move across domains without losing credibility. People who can learn fast, translate between groups, and build things that don't fit inside one job title.